What's up, guys? It's Coach Grant with First Down Training. And today we're going to be breaking down how to attack a DB who is 2 to 3 yards off in that catch technique, okay? So this catch technique is something that a lot of receivers are going to see, especially when you get a team who's maybe not completely comfortable coming at you with this press man look where they're going to jam and they're going to get physical. So today we're going to be talking about how you guys can attack this coverage, and then at the end of this video, we're going to be talking about what you don't want to do against this specific coverage, okay? So I hope this video helps you guys out, gives you some value, and gives you some more insight on just how you guys can structure your press releases and beat man coverage. But also, fellas, if you guys have not heard, we are going to be in the San Diego area on October 24th for a quarterback and wide receiver 3-hour training clinic. So I myself will be there. I'll be bringing out a Division I speed coach to help you guys with 40-yard dash mechanics, running mechanics, and all the above. So great opportunity for you guys to get better if you're in the San Diego area, California area. Would love to have you guys out there. Spots are limited and they're filling up fast. So check out that very first link in the description below to sign up. Hope to see you guys out there. Let's get started. So first clip here we're looking at from Kadarius Toney, and he's going to be using this hesitation hop release. So anytime that I have a DB who's off, right? Whether I'm off the ball and maybe he's walked down and pressed, but I got about 2 yards of space, or whether it's this specific situation where I got a DB who is off 2 yards, the number one thing that I have to do against this guy is I got to make sure that I close the distance, right? I can't be trying to run away from this guy. I can't be doing too much behind the line of scrimmage working lateral. I got to try to make him uncomfortable, threaten his leverage, and attack that midline, right? Now, he could be inside shade, and if he's inside shade, why would he be inside shade? He's inside shade to protect the inside, so you want to threaten him inside and move him off the platform, then take the outside release. But usually we'll see this coverage when we got a guy who's head up right here, and we could take either an outside release or an inside release. We have freedom to do whichever one we want to do if he doesn't jump to the inside or jump to the outside. So Toney does a great job of doing this little hesitation hop and then throwing up into this wide step or like this double up, however you want to think of it. But he does such a great job of closing the space and using tempo, right? So this is one of the things we're going to be looking at a route from Davante Adams here in a second. And Davante Adams, he goes at him more with like kind of a fast release and an explosive release where he closes space quickly and gets that DB to react. But this hesitation hop is one of the best ways to attack this catch technique, because when you hesitate like this, that gets the DB's feet to stop, right? Because in man coverage, his whole thing is he's trying to match my tempo, he's trying to watch my speed, he's trying to match my speed, and he's trying to get a read on me. But as a receiver, I can kind of use that against the DB to create separation, right? So Toney, he's going to be using that principle. You probably hear me talk about it a lot. You want to be patient, then sudden, and you want to be able to actually step outside the DB's frame, throw outside the DB's frame to get him to jump off that platform and to actually threaten him vertical, right? So anytime we get that catch technique DB, the number one goal and the number one process that I need to go through in my head is I'm trying to close space, I'm trying to attack his leverage, I'm trying to close the distance and try to get him uncomfortable. My goal should be either to stop his feet or to get him on his heels and backpedal out, or not even necessarily backpedal out of there, but almost lean out of there and shift his weight backwards, because I'm going straight at him. We can't be afraid of this guy. We can't be afraid of contact. Change the tempo, attack his leverage, then work outside of his frame. And again, this is just such a great releaser from Toney because of how much he's able to actually step outside the DB's frame. And again, in a catch technique, that DB is going to be watching my hips. He's going to be looking at that number. He's going to be looking at that torso. So if I don't actually sell with my upper half and I don't actually sell with my shoulders, my hips to the outside while I'm stepping to the outside, I call it throwing your pad level. If I don't actually throw my pad level to the outside, I'm not going to get any space. A good NFL DB, a good DB at any level is not going to jump if we don't actually threaten him vertically, threaten him to the inside and try to move him off that platform. If you guys are just doing all these moves behind the line of scrimmage going lateral, this guy will just stay patient. He's taught to stay patient and shuffle. Don't get out of that. Don't open up the gate unless we don't have to. So you actually have to make him open up the gate by stepping outside that frame. That's a great job by Toney. And then obviously when we get that DB off that platform, my mindset needs to be I'm accelerating, right? Because anytime a DB gets beat like that, whether it's catch technique like this, 2 to 3 off, press man, or off man, when he gets beat, and even zone coverage sometimes, he's doing whatever he can to recover, because that's what DBs work on. DBs work on their recovery speed. They work on how they're able to recover when they get off balance, when they're off platform. So we got to make sure as a receiver, my mindset is I'm accelerating out and my goal is to win the race back to that ball. Great job by Toney working this route. Let's watch the thing again, full speed. Hesitation hop, hit him with that 1-2, and then accelerate back over the middle. Now we're going to be taking a look at this route from Davante Adams. So Davante Adams kind of goes with the approach you maybe wouldn't expect from him, where he comes off the line fast and hits this DB with a 1-2 and takes an outside release, right? So let's talk about this too. So anytime I have a catch technique DB, right, where this is a situation where he's maybe on the ball, or not, he's probably not even even on the ball. He might be on the ball in this case. But when we were on the ball and this DB's 2 yards off, kind of like the similar case with Kadarius Toney that we were looking at, not where he's off the ball and this DB maybe has walked up a little bit closer. But when we're closing space with this DB, we also have to get a read on the DB. That's what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people think that every single release is just pre-planned. A lot of the times releases are about reacting, or maybe kind of like we could go one way, we could go the other way depending on what he does, right? Now, you don't want to overcomplicate things. This has to be like kind of an automated thing that you do in your mind that you've worked in practice over and over again, because on the field, we can't be thinking too much. On the field, when I come down to the line of scrimmage and I'm going up against a press DB, I got to already know in my head based on the look that I've seen on film and based on the tools that I have in my arsenal, aka the releases, that's how I structure my route based off of this guy, right? So when Adams closes the distance with him, you see how this DB kind of sits to the inside, right? That's exactly what we want. Now, when we're closing space with the DB, we got to be prepared for him to jump outside, to sit to the inside, or maybe even backpedal, right? Now, Adams has to run a post route right here, right? So when he's running a post route, obviously on a post route in a perfect world, we would love to take an inside release, but we don't want to force the inside release, because the whole point of this catch technique from a DB perspective is for he thinks that because we have like a little bit of space, because we have 2 yards, that we're just going to run off and try to run around him. He's just going to get hands into us and force us right into the field, screw up the spacing of the play, and all the above, right? He's going to totally mess up the play because that's what he wants us to do. And this next example after this, that's what we're going to be taking a look at with the poor example of this going up against this specific kind of technique from a DB. But Adams does a great job. If he comes at him, he works that double up to the inside, gets that DB sitting to the inside. And again, same kind of principles that we were talking about with Toney. His feet are sudden, but look where he's stepping. He's actually stepping outside the DB's frame. He's actually bringing his upper half with the cut because that's where that DB's watching. When that DB's watching those hips and catch technique, if we're closing the space with him, if we're attacking his midline, attacking his leverage, trying to step on his toes, and then we can step outside of his frame while he's watching my hips, I throw my upper half, that's going to get me a ton of space, fellas. You just got to understand that when we close distance, that DB's on the defensive. And we can get him on the defensive, I can set him up with a move inside, a move outside, simply by just using those basic principles of stepping outside of his frame, working that upper half, and being able to create space. He does not force the inside release here, you guys. We cannot have that mindset that every single inside breaking route, I must take an inside release. And I harp on this and harp on this and harp on this, and receivers will continue to make the same mistakes on this because they just don't trust themselves at the top of the route. You have to trust yourselves at the top of the route. You take an outside release on an inside breaking route, what are some things you could do? If he plays it well and he runs with you, I could throw him by. That's no problem. Or I could work to restack, which is what Adams does here. He does a good job of restacking, throwing that move at the top, and you see the space that he's able to create, and he takes care of him because he knew how to attack the leverage off the line, get the DB to sit to the inside, make sure we are reacting off of him. We're not just committing to a move and going, right? A lot of receivers, what they'll do is they'll have a pre-plan. They'll come off the line. Yes, you do want to have a plan, but they're going to think, I'm going to close space, I'm going to hit him with a 1-2, and I'm going to take an inside release. Well, what if he takes away the inside release? What if you close distance and he takes away the inside release? Fine, let's take the outside release. Take what he gives you. Do not force anything when you're going up against this catch technique, because that is exactly what that DB wants you to do. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Great job by Adams, hitting him with that 1-2, making that break at the top, obviously, and creating some separation, okay? So now, let's talk about what you don't want to do in this case, okay? So many receivers are afraid of the press coverage, right? So many receivers, I mean, not even necessarily afraid of press, but they're afraid to get jammed, right? And as a receiver, we should want catch technique, right? Because we know he's not going to lunge at us. We know he's not going to be getting hands right off the line of scrimmage. He's waiting for us to come at him. So that's what I have to do. I actually have to come at him. But what he wants me to do in this case is just try to run around him. Oh, okay, I got some space from this DB. I'm just going to try to run around him. I'm just going to try to beat him with speed. That is exactly what this DB wants. Now, this is probably worst case scenario. We're running a fade route in this situation. Now, again, even if the quarterback's trying to get this ball out quick, even if the quarterback is getting pressure, we could still do something fairly quick on this specific play to make this DB honest, to maybe get him to sit inside, stop his feet, whatever it is to create space. So let's watch it full speed. So this receiver just kind of runs off, right? And you see when he gets this DB gets right into his hip, he's maybe about a yard or two from the sideline, and that is an incredibly tough throw for the quarterback, right? We want to try to get back to that like red line, as some people say, which is essentially restacking, so that quarterback can fade us to this specific spot that we're at. But if I just try to take off and run against a talented DB who's going to stay square, and when he sees me take off and run, he's just going to get right into my hip, I have no space to be able to make this thing work, right? So when we got a situation like this, what did he not do right here? He didn't attack the DB. He didn't close the distance. He didn't close space. He just gave this little speed release to the inside and ran. Meanwhile, there's so much space for this DB to just shuffle with him to make that receiver run to the outside and force him right into that sideline. We got to make sure as a wide receiver, I'm closing the distance with him. He could have done a whole number of things right here. He could have given him this little hesitation skip, maybe move to the inside and then go outside. He could have just came right off the line and been super fast at him, give him a jab to the inside, just something to get him to stop his feet, something to put him on the defensive to the inside. We can't just try to run around DBs who are in catch technique, fellas, because all they're going to do is just get hands, reroute us to the sideline, and that's an impossible throw. As a quarterback, I want to throw this. If I see a one-on-one matchup out there, I trust, and trust me, take it from a guy who played quarterback, I trust all my receivers against man coverage. I'm thinking that they're going to get open unless it's a huge mismatch where this DB is way faster or way bigger, right? So I want to go to you. I want to throw you the ball. When we get man coverage, that's a privilege. That's a privilege we're getting man coverage. We should win every single time, but as a receiver, we got to know how to attack these specific looks and what you guys need to do to create space. So make sure, fellas, that we attack the distance always. I'm not even necessarily saying attack leverage. Just close the distance, attack his midline, essentially his leverage, but just try to put him on that defensive before we get up into that route. Let's watch the thing again, full speed one more time. Just make sure, fellas, we don't just try to run around him. These DBs are going to be fast. They're going to be talented when you get to that next level, and I won't be able to create enough space for my quarterback. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave those in the comments below. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys and hear the things you have to say. It helps me come up with new ideas for the channel, so I definitely appreciate it. And again, fellas, if you're in the San Diego area and you want to come out to our 3-hour quarterback wide receiver training clinic, we'd really love to have you guys out there. Like I said earlier, spots are limited. They're filling up fast. We only have about maybe 5 more spots left. So if you guys are in this area, you want to come out, get some great work in, check out that very first link in that description below. I'll see you guys next time.